Hello, we put the wrong picture
Welcome
up.
to Fire Emblem.
It's Fire
Yeah.
Emblem! Hi, everybody.
And I
Welcome to
brought
Fire
a
Emblem,
with me
apparently.
this time.
Look, behold!
No, I'm going to fix it now.
This, to be fair, this guy does look like a Fire Emblem.
He
You know-
does
He
look
could
like
have
a Fire
been.
Emblem.
Yeah.
Before I put down the coin, you could have believed that it was Fire Emblem, actually. Okay, hi everybody, welcome back to Grace Attorney. We took a 2-week break so that various members of the team could go have a vacation. It was pretty nice. I had a good
I
time.
want fish.
You included.
Yeah, I went and hung out with my family. It was a very good time. Okay, so last time, we finished the first day of trial. Professor Hairbrain pulled a hairbrain maneuver.
Yeah.
Cha. And then, it got real in our face about the mysterious man being Kazuma. And I'm excited to know more about that, but probably we're not going to learn anything about that today. But that's okay.
Probably.
Yeah, they did say it.
Yeah. Oh, also, we're looking for a man
we
named
did say
Enoch Drebber, who I have a picture of. That's this
Is
guy.
that the last guy on the list?
Oh.
Oh, no, okay.
Oh no, he's hot.
Oh no! He is supposedly the man who created this
shit.
machine in front of us and framed Professor Hairbrain for murder.
Yeah,
I actually
engineer.
I actually don't know where we're going though. You know what? We haven't tried going here yet.
Oh
Whoa!
god,
you.
that is a wave of gift subs we just got.
Oh my
Uh-oh.
god!
Here we go.
Oh my god! Hang on. It's gonna be
You gotta
October
fix
for a
that.
minute. Gonna be October for a minute while we read those. Oh my
Thank
god!
Oh, thank you.
So many!
You.
How many are there?
Thank you.
5
Enjoy
of
your
them.
gift subs.
5.
The one more.
Thank you! Gomez, you are
Agnes.
so kind.
Thank you very much.
Deeply appreciate it. And it's October.
Amazing.
Oh, the wax lab.
Oh my. No wonder it's called the House of Horrors. I'd like to turn on my heels and go straight home via the confectionery.
Being scared makes you crave sweets? I can understand that.
Oh.
I was looking forward to a reunion after 6 months away, but there's no sign of Mr. Sholmes anywhere.
That's strange. He should be here
Uh-oh.
investigating the abduction of the waxwork. Oh well. I suppose we'll just have to come back again later. Okay. Is there really nothing going on here? Hang on.
Nothing here.
Examine.
Okay, where is he hiding?
He could still be here. No, doesn't look like it.
Not there.
There's
Did
the
we do
lady.
everything? Did we do everything with
Oh.
I am blanking on his name, the Reaper.
I really thought that we did. It sure
We
felt
talked
like
about
it.
Everything.
Um,
I'm pretty sure it's Reaper Bailey.
that's true. Oh. Oh, maybe this character has arrived. Oh. Damn it.
Oh,
Okay.
no.
It kind of
It
looked
left.
good.
Just
The fade in looked good.
Justin of the Bailey.
Prison. Oh, you are.
Oh.
It is
God.
October. Oh my god.
This man is not healthy.
What's he doing?
He's...
Science.
Oh my! The whole wall of the cell is covered in mathematical equations.
And he's still writing more now. Professor, sorry to interrupt.
Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. And, who is this young lady?
Didn't you guys meet earlier? Maybe not.
No. My name is Susato Mikotoba. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor.
Oh, if only I had been a refined young woman like you soon! None of this would have happened. No, that's not logical. It makes no sense at all.
Oh, dear, I'm sorry if my presence here upsets you.
I owe you an apology too, Professor. I didn't manage to deliver what I promised. What I promised you, I said I would in court this morning.
Oh, no! The whole thing! This whole miserable affair! It all happened because I was such a complete and utter clot!
Professor Hairbrain, what have you been working on in your cell?
I've been trying to find the two I forgot to carry. Oh, you mean that? Oh dear, how embarrassing. I was suddenly struck by an idea, you see, and I simply had to write it down. The wall was all I had to hand.
Oh, is it some new hypothesis? Something to surpass super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, maybe?
No, actually, it is my autobiography.
What?
Your autobiography?
I love it.
How I was diddled and fiddled by Albert Hairbrain.
Work on it.
I found I can represent my odd fortunes with only odd numbers and an ambitious set of simultaneous equations.
Really?
Maybe. I have to pay back all the loans I took for the kinesis machine, you see.
Uh-oh.
So it's going to be a new serial publication for the next month. Part 1, an odd birth, an odd upbringing.
Tiny science.
You can't beat the man's optimism, that's for sure. Why is it so small? Why?
And I'll see what Jace Kessa does him.
I
What do
see.
you mean?
Well, for now, would you mind if we talked a little more about the case?
Oh, yes, of course. I've been working through the numbers and could see them. I was diddled, I was fiddled by the pair of death, by Assman, and by the aloof engineer, Drebber.
We're not going to have to sit through an explanation of all these equations, are we?
Can we
Oh,
please
no.
work on your phrasing, sir?
No,
Please.
it's perfect.
Assman and Drebber. Attorneys at law.
Everything I had or believed in has been turned on its head. My research, Mr. Assman, turned ass up, the kinesis machine, my hypothesis even.
I'm sorry it's come to this. There was really no other way.
No, it's not your fault. I wanted to protect my work, but in the end, there was nothing worth protecting. Whoa. It was never my intention to deceive anyone. I didn't want to trick the public.
No, of course you didn't.
But in court this morning, I realized something.
Oh?
If you believe something is wrong or if you done something wrong even without knowing it, you've still done something wrong. Logically, it only makes no difference if you were aware of it or not. Ignorance is a poor excuse. The blame still lies on me.
Oh, Professor.
He believed in me this morning, you know. The Baron did. He believed in my hypotheses.
Well, I think that was just a necessary factor in the prosecution establishing its case.
No. Barack wouldn't do something like that. I'm sure he genuinely believed it.
Did he...
I think I understand now. Why was it he decided to take the prosecution in my trial, I mean? Besides the fact he's only a prosecutor, but you know, it's fine.
I don't know, well, let's talk about that then.
After the terrible accident happened, no one would believe my hypotheses anymore. Not the police, not the prosecution service, not any lawyers even.
I feel like I dealt some kind of finishing blow there.
So if any other prosecutor had taken the case, if it was anyone other than Barack, I'm sure the prosecution would have declared my hypothesis a complete and utter nonsense.
And in that case, you would have been declared a fraud yourself, Professor.
Exactly! Which would have been a fate worse than death for me! But Barack insisted that I was a proper man of science from start to finish.
You think that's why he...
I know him very well indeed. He's an extremely kind-hearted soul.
But that extremely kind-hearted soul spent all morning trying to paint you as a murderer, didn't he?
Well, admittedly, that part of the analysis appears to have some flaws in it.
And what about the whole Reaper side of things? How does that fit in with the kind-hearted soul idea? I don't know, man. Let's talk about Assman.
Do you think he set out to trick me from the very start?
I'm sorry to say that does seem likely, yes.
When I first met him, he introduced himself as a wealthy financier. He looked over the paper I'd written and said my work would benefit all humanity and must be pursued. He was so enthused. He was so emphatic. And in reality...
But in reality, he was the mastermind of some vast criminal network, it seems.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I still can't believe it.
As the machine was essentially a set decoration for some stage magic. It probably didn't require a large amount of investment, actually.
But the scale of it, it wasn't just some small trick. It was a very elaborate feat of deception.
All young scientists are full of hope about their
Burgeoning.
burgeoning ideas, full of zeal and fancy words. But none of us have any money. We want to do research, but we cannot afford it. Many of us take on barely legal part-time work to try to earn just a few measly pennies to carry on.
Oh my.
To go through all of that, only to be taken for a complete fool. It's too rotten to believe.
It is, I agree. And that's why we have to find those responsible and bring them to justice. Mr. Assman is no more, of course, which leaves only the engineer.
Mr. Enoch Drebber.
Gotta talk about that guy. Is he an engineer or a magician or a swindler?
It was about a year ago when Mr. Assman found the Drebber, first brought Drebber, to meet me in my laboratory. Since then, I've met him many times to discuss details about the kinesis machine.
But at no point did you have any inkling that he was just an illusionist?
Oh, he definitely wasn't just an illusionist.
What do you mean?
He was a wealth of deep scientific knowledge. There's no question that the man's a genuine scientist. It's easily apparent in conversation.
I see.
But the wretched man deceived you, Professor. It's unforgivable. We must do everything we can to find him and bring him to justice. Are there no more clues you can give us to his as to his whereabouts?
I'm sorry. We only ever discussed the kinesis machine. Nothing else. Although, just once, I did visit his workshop.
What workshop?
Drebber's enormous fabrication laboratory, where he constructed my great machine.
Oh. Why Why didn't you mention this before? In our Drebber's workshop. There's every chance we might find the man there. Oh my god. Hairbrain. Please.
Seriously.
So you've been to Drebber's place of work then?
Yes, just once, you understand. It was an enormous place. Plenty of room to construct the kinesis machine, you see.
Where can we find it? We have to go there at once. There's a good chance that we'll find Drebber there.
Well, yes, definitely, I'm sure, as in, I'm sure you're not going to want to hear this.
Oh my god.
Did they like blindfold you or something?
But I have absolutely no idea where the workshop is at all. I'm so sorry!
I was more than half expecting that. Oh my
You
god.
see, I was blindfolded in the carriage the entire way there! I just... Oh.
He blindfolded you, and you still trusted them after that. He wasn't
It's
taking
kind
any
of like what
chances then.
Batman does. He blindfolds the girl, you can't know where the cave is.
Who's
you know?
Batman?
I don't know if I trust Batman, honestly.
This is old-timey times. Batman hasn't been invented yet.
Okay, sorry, Owlman.
Gotham by Gaslight.
What?
The place was incredible! The pinnacle of modern engineering!
Ark, no.
Even the oil he used was the very best. A special French machine oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain. Ah, the indescribable scent of an imported oil. Perfumers around the world should forget their secret formulae and use that instead.
What do you think, Mr. Zato? How do you pronounce that? Ow?
Oh,
Oh, Ode
Oh.
Machine for your next birthday.
Oda Machine.
Ode Machine.
I've never used any kind of perfume, Mr. Naruhodo. And I'm not sure I'd like to start with that.
I'm wearing it right now.
Of course you are.
Yes, I can tell.
Everything is so clear.
I don't suppose you know even part of the workshop's address, Professor? You don't have a business card for Mr. Drebber, for example?
The man was clearly very cautious, Mr. Zato. I'm sure he would have.
Ah! Yes, I do. He gave me his business card once. It's right here. Look,
What? Eh?
Let me see that!
my face.
Throw etiquette to the wind, why don't you? Yeah, why not?
Enoch Drebber, engineer. I'm afraid that's all it says.
Oh.
There's no address.
No. Oh well, I can't say
What,
much.
skin
I'm surprised.
prints?
Oh, still, this could be useful. Drebber's card has
Something's
been
written on it in invisible ink.
or on the back.
The
It's always on the back.
useless business card.
First thing first, check the back. Always check the back. It's always on the back. Something's on the back. What do we got on the back? Ah!
Oh yeah, there we go.
This dark smudge here.
I think perhaps it's machine oil.
Ah, yes, possibly. Professor Hairbrain mentioned something about the oil Mr. Drebber uses, didn't he? He said it was specially imported, very high-quality oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain.
Yes, that's right. But more importantly, that it's more fragrant than the finest perfume. So, excuse me a moment.
Talking about petrol?
Oh, it doesn't appear to have any scent at all.
Don't worry, I expect that that's just because there's such a tiny amount on here. Hmm?
I already know what we need to do with this card.
First,
Uh-oh.
let me see. There's nothing else
You
here.
have to use the D-pad on it, apparently.
Yeah.
What do you want to
Up, up, down, down, left, right.
There's like a cross symbol with a circle in the middle in the upper right of the card.
Enoch Drebber.
So what's your theory?
Dog.
Dog?
Dog.
Dog.
Oh! Oh! Dog!
Missile?
You
Dog.
Dog.
present to
Doge.
Gina. About this, Gina.
Yeah, I'm still learning me letters at the moment. I only know A to E. So if it ain't too much bleeding trouble.
Oh, those are all actually all A to E. Well, except for you.
Actually, Gina, it's the back of the card that's important. How come? It's just a dirty old smudge on the back, that's all. It turns out that this is a very high-quality French machine oil. It has a very particular scent, apparently. You don't say. Let's have a whiff, then. You sure? I don't smell nothing.
No, we didn't mean that you should smell it.
Oh, right. You mean Toby.
Toby!
Good
Oh.
dog.
Yo.
His sense of good smell. His sense of smell is so good he can track people over the oceans, can't he?
His sense of good is also good. He's a good boy.
He's a good puppy. Professor Harebrand informs us that this oil is unique to Mr. Drebber's workshop. She's holding
Locked and
it like
loaded.
a gun.
I think he's picked up a scent.
So, you mean, if he follows the scent of this oil, Toby could lead us to that dodgy cove's workshop? That's right! That's exactly what we were hoping. Alright then. We'll give it a go. I'll just borrow that.
What? Wait, when did you... Once a pickpocket.
If I can lead everyone to that Drebber's workshop, I'll be the boss's boss before next week. Oh yes, Gina! I'm sure you'll be promoted.
Poor Gregson.
Oh.
I'll take an early retirement.
Right then, Odo. Leave it to me.
Sorry?
We're gonna get going after that dodgy engineer cove right this minute. Oh, but hang on. Someone's supposed to be on guard duty here all the time.
I'm afraid we can't help. We need to get on with our investigation as well, Gina.
Oh, right. Ah, well, never mind. It ain't gonna be me what gets it in the neck. It'll be the boss.
Poor Gregson again. Uh-oh. A little worried.
He is slowly
Ready, Toby?
descending into Gumshoe.
Ready, Toby? Got that oil scent, have you? Come on then, boy. See you later.
Okay, bye.
I do hope the scent of that oil leads him to that swindler's workshop.
Yes, I hope so too. Ideally before the dog swims across the channel to France. Sounds? Hello? Did something change?
Probably just ambience.
Okay. Adams who spells prison. Can't go to the prosecutor's office. Or Chief Justice. Maybe Sholmes is back here.
Maybe Sholmes, yeah.
No Sholmes.
Or maybe Sholmes is now at the Two Spells place, I mean.
Maybe. Sholmes! No Sholmes.
No?
No Sholmes.
No two spells.
Forensics?
Forensics. No?
Maybe?
No? Is there any dialogue when you try to go to places? Like, does she
Oh, you're
try
talking
and
about
say
this.
anything?
Oh yeah, we met the forensics person last time, didn't we?
Barely.
Hmm.
I don't know to ask if I could borrow some books, but I just can't. Experimentation state. We did leave Harebrained kind of
Sneak?
quickly. Maybe there's
Yeah.
something going on here. Do you want something, maybe?
Can we present anything?
Did we go
Crossbow?
through all this dialogue?
We went through all his dialogue.
Oh,
Okay.
you want to talk about your screwdriver? Here, take it.
Andrew.
Professor, do you recognize Andrew?
Oh, it's Andrew, my faithful friend. How have you been? Are you all right? No one's mistreated you, have they?
Don't worry, he's being very well looked after.
I always rubbed him with machine oil until he's gleaming.
Right.
And then, when I come to tighten a screw with him, he slips in my hand and I can't do it. It's an age-old problem faced by
I don't like that word.
I don't like that word either.
I don't like that word.
No.
Not a fan.
Read the line,
Say the word,
Jay.
Say the word.
Say the word, Jay.
Say the word, Jay.
Do it for
Say
the
the
bit.
word, Jay.
Jay, what's the word?
It's an age-old problem faced by driver files the world over, isn't it?
Don't like it. It's terrible. I really wouldn't know, I'm afraid. Not a fan. I regret.
Crossbow?
You want to take this? Professor Hairbrain, what do you make of this?
There are so many dirty jokes I could make at this moment, and I don't want to make any of them.
Oh, yes! That's just what we need to prove my hypothesis, isn't it?
No, it's nothing to do with your hypothesis, actually.
Then take it away! I don't want to be bothered with anything that doesn't assist my science!
Alright, keep your abundant hair on. Alright.
Crossbow?
Maybe crossbow? Take it. Professor
Aw.
Hairbrain, you don't care about the crossbow dude. What's up with
Oh,
that?
look at it! Again, no! God.
Do you care about the green cloth? No, this. Why did I even try it? Get out
But
of here.
look at the thing in the dust! Did it again.
Experimentation stage. Great. I don't think any of this is gonna get anything.
Probably not the victim photo, right?
The victim photo?
Probably the victim folder.
Oh, what?
Oh?
How could this have happened?
You must feel awful, as well as a man losing his life. The Crystal Tower was greatly damaged too.
I know what happened. It must have been Date.
That?
Date.
Wait.
The day before the demonstration, I had my usual meal of Frankenfurters at the hotel restaurant. When I paid my bill, they told me they were hot dogs. Then they gave me 3 shillings to do too much in change. But instead of saying anything, I just slipped the coins into my pocket. They're still in there now. It's a divine retribution for my wrongdoing. That's what it is.
For a scientist, he has some very illogical anecdotes. Long and illogical. Okay, nothing. Van Zix!
Yeah, I would say maybe Fancy.
Van Zix, do you have anything else to say? I still have to examine the stairs for some reason.
Zuki?
These stairs, yeah.
Zuzu?
Intense music's back. We're definitely done talking, but maybe there's
Present me
something
with
else.
evidence.
You want the picture of Jabber?
What's that?
Oh, it's just something I was hoping I could ask your opinion about, that's all.
It's a serious crime for the defense to attempt to extract information from the prosecution by illegal means.
Alright, I get the message, but I don't see what's so illegal about me asking. Fine. What else do you care about? Do you care about any of this? I don't think you care. Why would you? Damn it! Uh-oh.
Look at my badge!
Present
We
the bread.
already presented the
Yeah, we
badge.
have.
We presented it to
Damn
him
it.
twice.
Smoke screen.
Move.
Do it again.
No. Maybe somebody sent a letter to our office.
Well, we
No?
could probably talk to Suzuto here, and maybe she might have a hint.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe.
Do you know? I honestly thought I might never have the opportunity to return to Great Britain. And certainly not so soon.
It's funny. For the past 6 months, I haven't been able to work in court. Meanwhile, you've been raising a storm in the Supreme Court of Judicature back in Japan.
Please, Mr. Naruhodo. I may have been dressed as a man, but it was a very reserved performance.
So what your father said in his letter about a Ryutaro takedown is reserved. Her father sent you a
Well-
letter? That's nice.
Yeah. Well, anyway. I'm back here in this great capital now. I'm ready to assist you again in any way I can.
Thank you, Miss Susato.
It's my pleasure, Mr. Naruhodo.
But Susato, they didn't tell me what to do! Uh-oh,
Not very helpful.
not
but
very
thank
helpful.
you.
We haven't tried here today. Damn it. No. Nothing. Arrgh. Oh, no.
What are we missing?
Hey, Chad, if we could have a light poke. Maybe a small one.
Push us in the right
Like an
direction.
area to hang out in.
Well, Madame's spell is the only place we haven't really been able to do anything.
This
I mean-
little
Can we?
Sure.
Are we able to examine anything here?
We've examined everything here. Yeah.
Have we?
Yeah. We spent some time.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think there's anything new here.
I didn't miss something, did I? Oh, okay. So look at what Susato tells you at the bottom when you're okay.
Yeah.
Wait.
Aha!
Oh,
Are you
So-
You
serious?
did examine everything.
For-
I've been
Forensics,
ignoring
yeah.
you this whole time.
we
What am
missed
I-
something here.
Oh,
Aha!
Oh,
look at this big thick book here.
A book.
it appears to be an accounting ledger. It's a record of the forensic investigations team's spending, I think. Oh?
What is it?
It's clear that the team purchases various equipment and supplies on a monthly basis, but... Well, one entry seems rather strange.
Really? In what way?
They're buying 500 scalpels every month.
What?
Hmm.
500? They must be working really hard on dissecting corpses.
I don't know. Judicial autopsies are only carried out in certain special circumstances. And scalpel blades can be sharpened, too.
It does seem a bit strange, you're right. 500 scalpels a month. What could they possibly be using all of them for? Melting them down to make something else with the metal?
Yeah, that was my thought, too.
But what?
Money laundering?
The machine.
The
The
machine.
machine? This is probably
High
Lunar.
Lunar?
Probably.
Wax.
What are you doing?
Ah! Yep. Hi. Sorry,
Who
we
dis?
we had something we wanted to ask you, but you weren't here, so
So you thought you'd snoop around. That's acceptable to you people from the East, is it? Well, what do you want?
Lord Strongheart told us, you see, that it was you who examined the victim's body. Mr. Assman's body, I mean.
So, we came to ask you about your findings. On Lord Strongheart's advice. Very well. If the Lord Chief Justice has given his consent, I'll tell you what our investigation revealed. But when you're done, you must leave immediately.
She's scary. Let's talk.
I like her.
Yeah.
So, you want to know what the forensic investigation team determined from its examination of the scene. The victim, Mr. Odie Asman, who disappeared from the experimentation stage amid an explosion. And the Mr. Asman who appeared moments later partway up the Crystal Tower. Were without question one and the same person. That is the team's conclusion.
And I think that that is a lie. But that can't be right.
If it was an elaborate trick, we can only speculate about how it was carried out. Let's see. If two people who looked very similar to each other were involved, they could have made it appear as if one single person had switched places, couldn't they? Very true. But sadly, in this instance, that was not the case. The man who disappeared and the man who subsequently reappeared was the same person. The fingerprints at the scene make that quite evident.
Ah, the fingerprints.
They're not yet officially recognized as forensic evidence in the British justice system. But one day, they will be used as an investigative aid, as a matter of course. Oh my! But that would mean that the instantaneous kinesis actually took place. So, where does that leave us? My team was tasked with investigating, not drawing conclusions.
Instantaneous kinesis is impossible, and yet the body did move from one place to the other. This hasn't cleared anything up at all. It's made the whole thing even more of a mystery. Squint. Oh.
Whoa!
No.
Oh,
Bird.
shit.
Who?
White,
give
White
me-
Knight, White.
What?
Doom White. That's what's the game you played?
Neon white?
That's
Neon-
art.
Yeah. Okay.
Mama,
Is neon violet?
what is this?
Ah! Where did she spring from? And
Well, that's someone else.
did she just call the doctor Mama?
Mama.
This is a lawyer, dear.
Oh,
Hello. To meet you. Pleased to meet you. Yes, I'm a defense lawyer. Renosuke Naruhodo.
Mama,
Yes?
can I cut this one up?
What?
Please don't.
Hmm.
Ah,
I've never seen inside an Eastern person before. I want to know what it looks like.
Same as anyone else.
Of course you can't. It's a live specimen, as you can very well see.
What is a caring and supportive mother?
Boring.
time to run away.
Can I kill a man?
I think I just had a near-death experience.
Dear. Mr. Naruhodo, you're as pale as a corpse.
Then let's leave before I'm mistaken for one. Hmm. Evil. You're bad.
Oh.
Okay.
Spook.
Scary.
Wait. Now what?
Yeah,
Well,
that's
okay.
good.
well, now we
maybe.
know. Okay. Feels somewhat cooler down here, doesn't it?
Creepers.
Let's do everything we
Oh,
can
man.
while we're investigating today. Professor Harebrained. Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Did we finish talking to her?
It seemed like it. There's no converse option.
Examine?
I could examine her. So, what are you doing at the moment, Doctor?
What you doing?
What job
Keeping a
do?
close eye on things so no impertinent Easterners think they can look around my office.
Are there such impertinent Easterners around? How terrible.
Yes. You.
Ah,
She doesn't mince her words, Mrs. Otto.
I think perhaps it's time we left.
Yeah, she does not like us. Okay, time to go. Perhaps now that we have talked to you, Strongheart is back. Or maybe not. How about, Sholmes? Gonna go back around to all the places. Here I go. Come on. 2 spells. Please. Please. Damn it. Okay. Experiment.
Only other places.
Maybe
Yeah.
Gina's back. Maybe Gina's back.
hmm.
No. No. Up here?
It's weird that both Strongheart and Strongheart, Van Six and Harebrained is still there, not having been like, oh, there's something preoccupying us. We gotta leave.
You've got a point, but I don't know. Well, maybe I have something new. No, I gave up the card.
What about Andrew?
What about Andrew?
Can we examine the experimentation stage, or have we examined everything we can there?
Pretty sure we looked at everything, but I'll look again. There could be something above, too. Oh, you're new.
Oh, isn't it exhilarating? All this different architecture from all corners of the world.
It does make you feel a bit like an explorer, doesn't it? I know it's all subjective, but the onion-shaped roofs have rather caught my attention personally.
It is very subjective, isn't it?
Japanese buildings with their wood and paper construction have excellent ventilation, and I've realized that British buildings being made from bricks and stone are very strong and long-lasting. The more you know about how things are done in other countries, the more you understand your own, I feel.
Oh, yes. I do agree with you there.
But I can't help wondering what an onion does for the roof of a building. I mean, I suppose it's playing on my mind because I don't like the taste of onions.
You really oughtn't let your taste in vegetables dictate your taste in roofs, Mr. Naruhodo.
You're so right. What about this one?
I hear that a ride on the Ferris wheel is a favorite romantic outing for among young London couples.
I think
Ooh.
the romance would be slightly spoilt by the abject terror, personally, but then I'm not a Londoner.
Are you a little scared of heights, Mr. Naruhodo?
It's
Yeah.
not that I'm scared, not at all, no. It's just that staying on the ground seems so much safer.
Well, perhaps I shall have to ask Iris and Mr. Sholmes to accompany me on it in that case.
When you put it like that, part of me does want to give it a try.
Oh dear. It is complicated for you, isn't it?
You should go, Rinosuke. You should. Okay. Oh, yes, okay.
That's
Things.
new. Look at that horn-shaped transmitting device. Isn't it amazing?
That's exactly what I thought when I first saw it.
It makes you think, doesn't it? If only it had been just a normal horn, none of this would have happened.
That's almost exactly what I thought as well. I bet I can predict what you're going to say next in that case. You're about to say, nothing ever goes to plan, aren't you?
Oh no, I would never say something like that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What about this? However much I look at them, I just can't come to terms with those Tamari handballs floating in the sky. You know what they are now, come on!
We had a whole thing.
You've been glaring at them constantly when we came up here.
Sorry, the feelings of wanting to ride in one and wanting never to set foot in one are fighting it out inside me.
But if you don't look where you're walking, you might fall from the stage.
I don't think I'd notice. That's how fiercely the battle inside me is raging.
Very important dialogue.
I think you should make peace with riding in one, Mr. Naruhodo. It really would be much safer that way.
Yeah, you're right. Is there something else up here, perhaps? Anything else that I am missing? Uh-oh. Uh-oh. No. No. There's gotta be some. Oh, yes, good.
No.
This wasn't here yesterday.
You will die.
Really? But if I'm not mistaken, it's the cage in which the victim was standing before he was apparently beamed through the air.
That's right. The birdcage. According to what Professor Harebrained said in court, it's made of wood.
Or more precisely, Japanese cypress, I think. And despite having been in an explosion and then falling from a great height, it's relatively unharmed.
That's good.
What wonderfully durable construction, wouldn't you say, Mr. Naruhodo?
I'd understood that the forensic investigation team had taken it away yesterday to examine it. I suppose they must have brought it back here when they finished their work.
But sadly, not with the body inside it.
Sadly. No, that's right. I know we were given strict instructions not to touch anything, but still, this is it. This is too important of a piece of evidence to overlook. We might need it for the trial. Birdcage from the machine has been entered into the court record. I'll just pick that up, just slip that away.
Slip that in my pocket.
Damn it, that was it.
Yay!
That was
Hmm.
definitely it.
You'd already met that masked man, hadn't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes,
Who is that
yesterday, in
master?
fact. Oh, we're talking about this again. At Lord Van Zeek's office.
I see. And if Kazuma-sama really is still alive, it means that Mr. Sholmes lied to us.
Mm-hmm. I know. We're going to need to speak to him about that. Oh, okay. Oh, hi!
You're going to have to leave now. The forensic investigation team are due to arrive shortly. If they find you here, it will cause problems.
What sort of problems?
Foreign affairs problems.
Well, we could do without that. Alright, we'll be on our way. Let's go, Mrs. Otto.
Of course.
Now Sholmes is probably at the Vax area.
Probably.
I think we've done all the investigating we can here for now. If we could just determine the whereabouts of Mr. Drebber.
I'm sure Gina and little Toby won't let us down. Now then. Do you think we ought to try to speak with Mr. Sholmes at this point? We have things to discuss, and I'm dying to meet him again after all these months.
Yes, it's quite possible he might know something useful. You're right. We ought to find him.
And then we find out Sholmes is dead.
No! He's supposed to be working there as a temporary waxwork exhibit.
Yes! Iris told me all about his latest unusual venture.
Okay, here we go. Is it gonna be October? It's October, isn't it? Isn't it? It is.
Oh,
No way, it's October?
Nice.
wow. Spooky.
Here we are again at the House of Horrors. I'm afraid I haven't gotten used to this place yet. I'd still like to turn in my heels and go straight home. Via the confectionery, of course.
Susoda-san really is after something sweet today, isn't she? We should just go get a pastry.
Eek!
What's the matter?
Look, Mr. Naruhodo! Look at that waxwork! I'm quite sure it wasn't there before. I forgot about this costume that we
Oh, yeah.
It looks exactly like Mr. Sholmes down to the very last detail.
Aha!
What is it?
Oh, sorry. I think you'll find that's the temporary waxwork himself. What if this time it is a waxwork?
Would love it.
This the friend of my dedicated employee.
Oh, yes. Hello again. It's Ryunosuke. Ryunosuke Naruhodo.
I must say, I am quite spellbound, but the great detective is a marvel. My precious waxwork is already back where it belongs.
You don't mean...
Oui. The mystery is solved already.
Wow, Mr. Sholmes can really engage his brain when he's hungry enough.
So as you can see, he has returned to his habitual duties.
Yeah.
His habitual duties?
Alors, do not disturb, huh?
But I have to. Poor Susoda-san, she looks very perplexed. Okay. Yeah, of course we're gonna do that.
Time to disturb.
Oh, wait, are you new? Ah, yes, the heavy curtains in the middle of the House of Horrors. Whatever's on the other side of them, you just know it's going to be terrifying, don't you?
The sign says it's the Madame Two-Spell's special exhibit. It seems you'll have to pay extra to go in.
I know, can you believe that? Pay more money, as if we haven't been scared enough already.
It's not my doing, Mr. Naruhodo.
No, I want to see the waxwork, show me. No, that's not
I
new.
want to see the professor.
It's not new. It's not new, show me the professor.
Give me the professor.
I want to see
Give
the
me the
main
professor,
villain
I
of the
want the professor.
bad guy. I want to see. Okay.
I want to see Hosanaga.
Hosanaga?
I still believe it's Hosanaga.
I don't get it.
What? Huh.
We really do need to speak with Mr. Sholmes, and I'm longing to say hello again. But where is he?
I think you might find that he's quite nearby, actually.
Oh! What are you...
Indeed, my dear fellows, it is I. The world-famous great detective at waxwork, Herlock Sholmes.
Did she faint? Oh no! Susanoo-san! Susanoo-san!
Wow, someone finally got her.
Oh no!
You're in for a thrashing when she wakes up.
Jay?
My most humble apologies.
I thought I'd died and gone to eternal paradise for a moment. Via London.
Huh?
My dear madam, allow me to make amends by offering you a tasty free deduction at some point.
As long as it's not of questionable street food quality.
Mm.
I don't understand. Why are you working as a waxwork here, Mr. Sholmes?
Merely a secret identity, you understand. Though the case is largely solved now.
Largely solved.
We're talking about the waxwork abduction, I presume.
Indeed we are, my dear fellow. As I predicted, it was an easy as proverbial pie. Though I confess, I'm yet to partake of a pie, proverbial or otherwise, or of any food today so far, for that matter.
Oh no. That stomach rumble echoed around the whole museum. So how did you manage to solve it so quickly?
Well, do remember that it was largely solved. Anyway, I simply negotiated with the culprit. Are you familiar with the so-called telephone?
Oh, yes. It is a most modern invention allowing you to hold a conversation with people far away.
Oh.
In Japan, only the imperial capital and a handful of other cities are connected as yet.
Huh.
This morning, a telephone call was received here from the perpetrator of the abduction. As such, I was able to negotiate terms, and in the end, the waxwork was returned.
That's amazing.
Just between you and I, it would appear that the culprit had always intended to return the stolen waxwork in the event.
Oh, but I thought whoever was responsible had demanded a ransom, no?
Yes, I think perhaps. The ransom demand was necessary to avoid unwanted suspicion regarding the true motive.
But does that not mean your negotiating was entirely unnecessary?
As a matter of fact, I asked you to keep away from Miss Madame Duspels at any cost.
Oh.
A hungry young Iris awaits my return to Baker Street after all.
Poor Iris.
Now then, I do sense that you have some business with the Great Waxwork.
Well, let's talk for a little bit. We're in the process of trying to track somebody down.
Oh?
Yes, a man by the name of Enoch Drebber. He's the swindler who duped Professor Hairbrain and the engineer who built the kinesis machine.
A swindler and an engineer. Quite the modern man.
He also seems to be a conjurer of sorts too, with considerable knowledge of stage magic. We really need to locate him before the trial resumes tomorrow morning. But we have so few clues to go on, that's the trouble. Do you have any good ideas?
I have no data yet. It is a capital mistake to have good ideas before one has data. A mistake that I rarely make.
Hmm.
If I... What? No, nothing at all, nothing at all. If I knew something of the man's appearance at least, I may be in a better position to help.
Yes, Drebber's appearance.
Fortunately for you, however, presently I have little to occupy myself with, and little to fill my stomach. As soon as you find any clue, no matter how small, I should gladly give you my thoughts on it.
Okay.
And possibly eat it.
Mr. Sholmes, did you lie to us?
Yes.
My dear Mr. Naruto, stay that piercing stare. What is this about?
Last winter, when we were first on our way to Britain aboard the steamship, your words were very clear.
So then let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led us to the curious murder.
You told us it was murder. And you examined Kazuma-sama's body.
Indeed. And wherein lies the problem?
We met him earlier today. The victim, Kazuma Asogi.
You're quite sure?
He was wearing some sort of mask and was apparently suffering from amnesia. But yes, I'm quite sure. It was Kazuma-sama. You must have known at the time, Mr. Sholmes, that he wasn't actually dead.
Well, I can only assume I was swept under the murderous atmosphere of the moment.
To be fair, he is an idiot.
Yeah, to be fair.
I think you might be painting him a little dumber than he actually is.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
But like, there's something going on here, though.
But the fellow wasn't dead at all. Oh, priceless! Oh, I don't suppose that performance would pass muster, would it, Mr. Naruhodo?
I could believe that the crewman present at the time made a mistake. But not you, Mr. Sholmes.
I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It serves you well to remember that.
Please, Mr. Sholmes.
Tomorrow in court, you will find yourself on the threshold of a very great mystery. For now, I am afraid that is all I can say.
Damn. Okay. Well, he admits to it, though. Alright, you want this picture? You get this picture. Take it. Homie never looked at the cage either. Mr. Sholmes, would you cast your eyes over this photographic print?
It's of Mr. Enoch Drebber. The face of the engineer we seek.
Well, all Englishmen look broadly the same, of course. So, looking at the photograph won't be particularly instructive.
Are you alright, Mr. Sholmes?
Yes, forgive me.
Good poker face.
You're a shit actor.
Very interesting. Very interesting indeed.
What's wrong, Mr. Sholmes? You've turned quite pale all of a sudden.
I have a suggestion, Miss Naruhodo. Would you indulge me?
Oh, well, what is it?
As I explained to you when you first arrived, the missing waxwork has been returned.
Oh.
And I personally reinstalled it in the exhibit from which it was taken, behind those thick curtains.
Oh, yes, the professor exhibit, isn't it?
Would you like to see it? For a mere
Yes.
5 shillings? That's all, just one time only price, you understand, in dinner.
What?
We have 5 shillings.
Does that help me borrow money?
Can I have my allowance? Is that?
The opportunity won't come again, I might add. Would you like to see the fruits of my labor?
Oh, well, we do have a rather pressing investigation to carry out. Perhaps we could postpone.
The price is a very reasonable 5 shillings. I think you'll find it well worth it.
Are you being quite serious, Mr. Sholmes?
Surely you need only look at my expression to ascertain the seriousness or the silliness.
I can never tell with you if that's the point.
Very well. It couldn't hurt. Here's your 5 shillings.
Gomez, you joke, but I actually thought I was gonna have to go back to Harebrained and be like, hey, can you give me
me
the money in your
too.
pocket?
Go on a
I thought it was
whole
just
side
3,
quest
though.
to get 5 shillings.
Gratefully received. So the special exhibit awaits behind the curtain. I invite you to pursue it at your leisure.
Pursue it.
Sure.
Peruse?
Well, the money's been spent, so let's go see the exhibit.
Okay.
We all know what's happening, right?
Through those heavy curtains at last. Well, is it gonna be Drebber? Is that why everything connects?
Probably.
5 shillings we've had to pay. It doesn't seem right somehow that Mr. Sholmes slipped the money into his own pocket. No, let it happen. That's fine.
He's very hungry.
No. Ah! We could ask Gina to retrieve it for us, using her special skills.
Good plan.
Pickpocketing police officers and diddling detectives. Is this what makes Britain great? Not to mention demigod prosecutors taking the law into their own hands, or chip-loving inspectors.
Inspector Gregson comes off rather well in that list, I think.
I'm charming.
Show me. It is still October.
What's it gonna be?
Whoa, okay.
Oh, god damn it.
Come on!
I love this.
Wait, what's happening on the left here?
Oh, dear. I felt a shiver run down my spine as soon as we walked in here.
Mrs. Otto, I say we turn on our heels and go straight home via a really big confectionery.
We certainly can't do that. We've paid the 5 shillings already.
True. Actually, now that I'm looking a little more closely, we've paid good money to see an exhibit that's clearly incomplete. The nerve of the great diddling detective is far more terrifying than anything else in this place.
This must be what Mr. Sholmes meant when he said the case was largely solved.
Be that as it may, Mr. Sholmes heavily implied there'd be a clue about the engineer in here, didn't he? But where? Since we paid 5 shillings, let's do 5 shillings worth of investigation, shall we?
Yes, we will get what we paid for.
And
Is
not
that-
1 pence more.
Is that fear or frustration that's making Susanoo-san's voice tremble? Okay, we're gonna start with you.
This must be the killer, the fiend known as the Professor.
Yes, I think so. According to what Madame Two-Spell said, he killed 5 victims, all of noble or royal blood.
The waxwork is so lifelike, isn't it? Like all the models in this place.
I know. It looks like it could start moving at any moment, doesn't it? If only it had a head, that is. Perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail. Enhance!
Hands.
I'm scorned.
So this is the condemned man.
So this is the condemned man.
Yes, exactly, the so-called professor.
Then perhaps his head was chopped off by a guillotine. But unable to find peace, he emerged from his grave as a headless ghost.
Do we have to entertain such terrifying ideas, Miss Susanoo?
Creepers!
Was that from the game?
Man.
Was that later
No,
from
that
the
was
game?
Jay.
That was Jay, okay.
That was me.
Anyway, I'm sure...
immediately saw Jay's head light up.
Anyway, I'm sure the model had a head once. There's a metal fitting for it, see?
Then perhaps Mr. Sholmes absent-mindedly forgot to reattach it.
That's an extremely absent-minded detective you're describing, isn't it?
Or perhaps the thief absent-mindedly forgot to include the head when he or she returned it to the museum.
And that would be an extremely absent-minded thief. Could there have been some reason why only the head wasn't returned? Well, whatever the reason, it means we don't know what the fate of the infamous professor looked like, do we? Oh. There's something caught just inside the convict's jacket here. It looks like a piece of broken glass. Oh my god. It's quite big, too.
It's very thick, isn't it? About five times thicker than any normal window glazing, I'd say.
Where could such a thick piece of glass have come from, I wonder?
I know.
I suppose it must have been made thick to increase its strength?
But why?
Well, perhaps. Because the glass had to span a particularly wide area, such as a big building, for example.
Ah. Well, we've seen a large glass building recently, haven't we? And some of the glass is broken too.
You don't mean?
But I do.
Exactly. The Crystal Tower at the Great Exhibition.
But why would glass from the Crystal Tower be lodged inside this waxwork's jacket?
Gee, I wonder.
It makes you think, doesn't it? The piece of broken glass has been entered into the court record. Okay, so, is Assman the professor, or is there something else happening there?
I think they might have just created a second head for Asman and put it on here.
That was my second theory, yeah.
kind of what I'm thinking too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then they'd have to have a very talented waxwork artist. I mean, well,
Mm-hmm.
They made the head of an ass, man.
whoa.
Yeah.
Earlier in court, we established that the kinesis experiment was a trick. And now we discover this fragment of glass here in the waxwork. Is it just a coincidence?
Nah, no way.
Nah.
Nah.
Nothing else? That's it? That's the
Nothing
whole thing?
else?
What was the point of zooming in? Okay. Alright. Goodbye to that then.
Enhance.
Hello?
This part of the exhibit is just as disturbing as the rest. It looks so real.
It seems to be a young man in a white overcoat.
And he has a large shovel in his hand too. Look.
Oh no.
Perhaps we should investigate in a little bit more detail.
It's a spade.
Show me the face. Come on. No, show me the face. Come on. What are you doing? Fine.
Oh my! I love this.
What's this here?
Well, this would appear to be a lens in the middle, so I believe it's probably a camera.
A camera? But it's so small.
Wait.
British technology is incredible, isn't it? I mean, what about Mr. Sholmes' skin prints?
I think perhaps you should treat Mr. Sholmes' inventions as exceptions to the rule. But
Power
anyway,
of science is amazing.
why would the man be in the graveyard at night with a camera?
I wonder. Perhaps he was trying to capture the moment a dead body came back as a ghost on film.
We'll just borrow this for a little while, I think.
Yeah?
This isn't Sholmes, is it?
Then I want to look at the face!
By looking at the photographic plate inside the camera, we can see what picture was taken.
What's a photographic plate?
It's a piece of glass coated in a special emulsion that reacts to light coming through the lens. If we open the cover at the back of the camera, we would find it. Let's have a look.
You should see yourself, Sasada-san. Your eyes are shining. You really
Aw.
do like machinery, don't you?
Yeah.
That's fun. Well, give me one moment then. Oh, I guess I cannot. I'll be back. I'll be back. Give me one moment. We have we have 3 things to look at. You first. I can't find. What? No.
What?
No.
You can open the door.
Oh, it's broken.
Oh.
Ah, look here, Miss Sasada.
Oh, yes. The wood's cracked and broken a little. I suppose because it fell from such a height?
Yes, from the height at which the balloon was flying down into the crystal tower below. A fall of about 30 feet, or 9 meters. Would a wood creation like this really break through that glass building with such thick glass?
With enough
if it had enough
height.
velocity,
I guess.
leaving the man inside tragically dead.
Okay, the details of the wooden birdcage have been updated. Crashed down with the victim inside, causing damage to its base. Okay, important for later. We kind of already knew it was broken, but that's fine. Oh, do you have something up here? No? What about the bottom? No, we already looked at the bottom. Okay,
Nope.
next. Piece of broken glass. Do you have anything to
Glass.
say for yourself? Oh, glass. This piece of glass is almost as thick
It's
as it
glass.
is wide. It's glass.
Yes, I've never seen anything like it.
If you were to compare it to a human, only Mr. Sholmes has such thick skin.
There's really no need for such a comparison, Mr. Naruhodo, as you well know.
Anyway, it can only be from the Crystal Tower, surely.
Yes, I think so too. It was probably made especially to meet the demands of that great structure.
A little surprised that they just kind of handed that answer to us. We could have figured that out. Yeah, we're good. We're good. The third one. Yes.
Let's look at that glass.
Oh,
Oh, blood.
What a wonderful machine!
you really love contraptions like this, don't you?
Oh, yes. Anything mechanical I find absolutely irresistible.
Almost irresistible, surely?
Well, whenever I see a pocket watch, for example, I can't help myself. I simply have to take it apart.
That's worrying.
Yes, Father tells the time by the rumblings of his stomach now. He's given up having a watch.
Oh,
Poor Professor Mikotoba. What about this, though?
Look, Mr. Naruhodo.
What is it?
On the bellows just here, there seem to be some very dark red stains.
Yes, you're right. It looks like blood, actually. Oh, it looks like blood, actually.
Oh,
Blood actually is my
Um.
favorite Christmas movie.
oh my.
Excuse?
You heard.
I'm sure it's not what you're thinking. Okay.
It is.
When the lens is extended, dark staining is visible on the bellows. Perhaps there is more. Oh, the back. Oh yes, the picture. Right. Oh look, the cover came open.
Yes. Now, there should be a glass plate inside. You have to change the plate with each new photograph you want to take, you see?
Is something wrong?
There is no plate. It's been removed.
What a pity. But I suppose if you think about it, this wouldn't be the actual camera that was used at the time, just like the waxwork isn't an actual person. So we'd never have found the photographic print of the executed convict coming back to life anyway.
Oh. Yes, you're quite right, of course.
Poor Susato-san, she looks devastated. Well,
One to see a zombie.
there's a lot going on in here. We might be done though. I think we're finished. Okay. Okay, back to looking at you.
Just as disturbing
What?
as the rest. I think this is the same.
Oh, yeah, you right. You right.
My mind wandered a little bit. We were talking about zombies. I remembered how one time I heard about The Walking Zed, and I was like, what the hell is The Walking Zed? Why would you call it The Walking Dead? Oh shit, it's a combination of zombie and dead. Ah, sorry, moving on.
Okay. That's quite a large lamp the man's carrying. Or is it a lantern? It's not unlike a Japanese Chochin paper lantern, actually, is it?
Lamp, lantern, chochin.
Naruhodo.
The point is that it casts very little light. To be walking alone in the graveyard at night with only this... Well, I certainly couldn't do it.
I'm not sure I could visit a graveyard at all, even in broad daylight, to be honest. Maybe.
Now, what about the spade?
The spade. The spade. Or is it a shovel? Tell me about it.
It's a step shovel.
What a large shovel. He's holding it rather ominously, isn't he? What on earth was the man doing with a shovel in a graveyard in the middle of the night?
Miss Susato,
Don't do it.
Do it.
Don't you dare!
No.
Do it.
Yes.
That's a spade. A spade.
How many times do we have to talk about this? No, it's a shovel.
No. Shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade.
What? No.
We've been through this, Mr. Naruhodo. It's a shovel.
No. Although we haven't considered trowels.
No! We've allowed ourselves to be distracted, I feel. Perhaps we should concentrate on what the man was doing with the implement.
So we're
I
going
never get tired of this bit.
So we're gonna bury the hatchet. You're right, though. What was the man doing in the graveyard in the first place? That's the real question. Let me look at your face. Wait, yeah.
Oh,
I can't see his face very well. Are you kidding me? Are you
The face isn't
joking?
important. It's not
For
important.
some reason, I can't look directly at it.
Tilt your head up. I can't see his face very well. Can you? Can you? Perhaps if I just.
Oh. Do you think you should be manhandling the exhibits, Mr. Naruhodo?
I'll put it back exactly as it was. Don't worry. Please. Yes, please.
Oh.
Yes. Yes. Eh. Oh.
oh,
Oh.
oh.
Ah.
Oh.
The doctor from TF2?
Trevor?
What on earth? How can...
I don't believe it. A black monocle.
Mr. Naruhodo, is it possible that this man is...
Yes. It's Enoch Drebber.
The color of his hair is different, but...
It's unmistakably him. Chom?
Chomps.
Indeed it is.
Yeah.
Hello.
Mr. Sholmes.
This man is the subject of your present hunt.
Yes, that's right. Just who is this man? Why is he here in this exhibit? And why does the convict behind him have no head?
The head was missing when the model was returned by the thief who stole it.
What a surprise. So then the case isn't yet solved, is it?
Did I not say so myself? Largely solved with my words, I believe. but I must locate the missing head. Tout de suite. As Madame Tout de suite. What is it? I'll be in grave trouble. A very hungry Iris still awaits me to my return to Baker Street, preferably with rations.
Ah.
Do you know, though, something about this room is strange.
Strange? What do you mean?
Well, the displays in the House of Horrors are supposed to depict real events, are they not?
Indeed they are, Mr. Zotto. Do go on.
And, as terrifying as they are, the scenes in the other exhibits are believable. But this one... This surely couldn't ever have really happened, could it?
Eh.
I think it's time I educate you a little about the nature of the incidents involving the professor 10 years ago.
Yep, time to talk.
Yay, backstory.
I believe I told you but a little about the professor yesterday, did I not? He took the lives of 5 victims, everyone being either a member of the aristocracy or royalty. All were attacked by an enormous hunting hound that had their throats ripped from their bodies. That's the book.
Oh.
Oh, gosh. An enormous hound? How awful.
After taking the life of his fifth victim, the killer was apprehended. It was a case of unprecedented magnitude in Britain. You understand, accordingly. The professor was tried in a closed court. No members of the public were permitted.
A closed court. So you mean that the professor's identity...
As you've surmised, my dear fellow, his identity was never made public. Naturally, he was found guilty and was summarily sentenced to death by hanging. He was buried in a grave at Lowgate Cemetery, which adjoins the rear of the prison where he had been held. However, that was not the end of the affair.
Oh,
The very night that he was buried, the convicted man came back to life.
Came back to life?
He clawed his way out of the ground and emerged into the moonlit graveyard. The exhibit here depicts that very scene, as described by the sole witness to the chilling events.
There was a witness?
But of course, my dear fellow, and it was none other than the young man in the white overcoat.
Enoch Drebber. He saw it all happen. Okay.
And
So-
was apparently credible.
So this is a waxwork model of Enoch Drebber.
10 years ago, the convicted professor, having been gibbeted,
Mhm. Mhm.
yes, and buried, emerged from his grave in the dead of night. The sole witness to that unimaginable scene was the young man. From appearances, I would say he was about 20 years old.
It's so horrifying.
Scared out of his wits, the young driver ran into a nearby police station to report the incident. And the sheer terror of what he'd seen is said to have turned his hair white overnight.
Yes, as shown in the photograph we have of him, his hair is completely white.
For the following few days, the story of what he'd seen was on every front page in the capital. The public was frantic for every last detail about the killer who'd come back to life. As you've seen, an exhibit was even created here at Madame Tussauds.
I can quite understand why the man's hair turned white, certainly. But what I don't understand is what Mr. Drebber was doing in the first place. In a lonely graveyard in the middle of the night.
Yes, what was he up to?
Is he the gravedigger?
The professor's act
Easy.
of terror. Yes. Act of terror threw London's upper classes into complete panic 10 years ago. It was a great scandal that one might say at the very highest levels of society. And since the killer's identity was never made public, rumors abounded. After all, no killer had ever before systematically employed a dog as a murder weapon.
Yes, I can imagine the impact that case must have had.
But in time, of course, the rumors abated. So too did talk of the shocking witness account of the convict who came back to life. It was forgotten, dismissed as dubious ghost stories, as a preposterous parlor tale.
But why did people stop believing in it?
Why, simply because there was no resurrection to speak of, as was established, in fact.
What do you mean by no resurrection?
The police investigated the grave at the Lowgate Cemetery and published their findings. The convict's body was found to be buried exactly where it had been following the execution.
Really?
Hearts doing? Maybe.
No!
Could have been covered up because I was thinking it's possible to survive a hanging.
You can.
It's
you can do it.
rare, but yeah,
If your neck doesn't break.
right.
But that would mean Mr. Drebber.
He could have also had like armor around his neck, or like something.
The harness down to his back.
Exactly right. Yeah, something like that.
Must have lied to the police and the newspapers.
It's a conspiracy.
That would appear to be the only logical explanation, yes. The young man subsequently vanished from society and was never been heard of since. Until today. It's rather striking then that he should resurface now, don't you think?
Of course, the convicted murderer couldn't really have come back to life. That's not possible. But Drebber's hair is unusually white, and if that really did happen overnight as a result of shock, it's hard to believe the incident was an out-and-out lie.
He dyed his hair.
And, yeah. Oh!
Ah! What in the bleeding Nora, Odo? What have you gone and done?
Gina! What are you doing here? No! Oh,
I asked Iris, and she said this is where you'd be, so...
did they up your reload speed? That looked a little faster. Ah!
So... Gina, not so loud in the museum.
Madame Tuspels will have you take a position as a waxwork if you're not careful.
I think there might be a more pressing concern. Ah,
I still had some flash powder left from 6 months ago, so...
stop!
So! All right, Gina, we understand, but please, put down the gun.
What the hell?
Could you do us a favor and steal 5 pounds from Holmes?
Sorry. I got scared.
You should try being the one on the other end of the barrel. So,
Dino spotted the most recent updates.
Decreased reload time. That's a pretty good buff.
yeah.
She
They,
did
they
that.
lowered the damage though, just to even it out.
Oh, man.
So what brings you here,
what's the
Gina?
point?
What brings me here? What do you think? We found it. We found that dodgy cove's workshop.
What? You found Drebber's workshop?
Oh, puppy.
Yep. Toby's nose took me straight there. The boss and the others are heading over there now in a drag. So come on. Here's the address. I got the boss to write it out.
We're going there in drag?
That's what I heard.
That's what I read, but I don't know if that was correct.
All right. Get it, Grexy.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, Gina. We'll make our way over there at once. All right, then. See you there.
I'm fabulous. I know it.
Oh.
You go, don't mind me. I'll just stay here, being still.
What?
I know my place in the exhibit over there.
Oh, dear. Someone is feeling sorry for himself.
Lonely.
Let's go, Mr. Sholmes. You're coming.
I have no. Your words haunt me, I must say, but if I were to shirk my duties here, Madame would have me pay monetary recompense, and for that,
Forget that. I'll pay for everything. You will?
then there's not a moment to lose, my dear fellow. I shall hail your carriage at once.
Okay. No offer to share the cost from Mr. Sholmes, then.
I mean, you offered.
I shall gladly pay half, Mr. Naruto.
Thank you, Mrs. Sato. Right, let's go. Oh. October.
Ah, arrows.
That looks like...
Oh! It's another super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine.
Indeed, it would appear so, though only a prototype, naturally.
Ah, so you got here then? Gina, well done for finding this place. And in such little time, you've really worked miracles. It's Toby here, who's the miracle worker.
Woof!
Work.
Oh, what?
Yeah, I thought you lot would show up before long.
Hello, Inspector. That's one knitted brow. He looks like he's eating a lemon out of a bag of fish and chips.
They put a whole lemon into this. It's supposed to just be a slice.
So, Inspector, is there any sign of the engineer?
Sadly not. We didn't find a soul in here.
Oh, what a shame.
Well, thank you for letting us know about this place and giving us the chance to investigate.
According to what Gina tells me, we only found it thanks to a clue that you lot turned up. I wouldn't want to say Gotta perish with a debt of gratitude on Bay now, will I?
Thank you.
Anyway, if you're open to snoop around in here, I'd get to cracking. Both Van Zeeks and the forensic investigation team are on their way here as we speak.
Them again.
I imagine you've got the picture by now. They don't take too kindly to lawyer types.
Right.
No.
So then, my dear fellow, let's turn this place upside down whilst we have the chance.
And you, Sholmes.
Uh-huh. Pardon?
They take even less kindly to great detectives than they do to lawyers.
Very droll, Drexen, very droll. But you may consider me nothing more than an inconspicuous waxwork model.
Right then. Let's see what we can find in here. Okay.
I see a quill.
Let's look at this first.
I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo. That machine is covered by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act.
It is?
Not this one.
There would be serious repercussions if you were to examine it, from the Crown and the government.
But, oh. Well, those two.
I see it is connected to the irony.
Well, those two don't seem to be holding back.
It's quite hollow inside. No working parts or devices of deception to be seen, my dear fellow.
No loose change drop on the floor or nothing. Not even a bone for Toby here, my dear fella.
Yeah.
British people are very much ruled by their own ideals, aren't they?
I think that's just these two, Mrs. Otto. Okay. What about the
I thought there was something up there.
Yeah, I think there was an arrow, yeah.
Ah, this appears to be most interesting. Yes, most interesting indeed. Would you say, look at it?
It's an impressive looking back massager, that's for sure. I've no doubt that if you hit your shoulders a few times with that, your aches and pains would soon go away.
It's a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science. A young scientist could wish for no higher honor.
Ah.
Would you like a massage?
No. Well, maybe a little bit. I'm fine, thank you. I had no idea it was such a grand thing.
I think it's becoming increasingly clear that there's much more to this Mr. Enoch Drebber than conjuring tricks.
I couldn't agree more, my dear madam. And how about you, Mr. Naruhodo? Would you like to take it with you? For your tired shoulders, of course.
He's not gonna let that go, is he?
He's not.
It's curious, though, isn't it? You would expect such an important trophy to be proudly on display somewhere, not haphazardly cast aside. English gentlemen can be quite a mystery at times.
Mine now.
Haphazard, my dear.
I did my best!
Let's have a look. Alright, what do we have? There's a little metal plaque here, look. Fostering burgeoning talent for the future of scientific discovery. It seems
rather ironic, doesn't it?
but clearly Mr. Drebber really was a very talented scientist. The bottom? No? Wow.
Is there something hidden in the bottom?
No messages or anything?
There's
Weird.
really?
It's a
Nothing?
trophy.
It's just a trophy. My God.
Weird.
This is how we prove that Enoch was more than just a magician.
I guess so, yeah. Oh, eh.
Well,
What on earth is this?
an aeroplane, Mr. Naruhodo. One day, scientists believe it will allow humans to fly freely in the skies.
Is that how the trick will be described, is it?
Sorry?
Well, it's actually suspended by a thin but very strong cable, isn't it?
Oh, well, this model is, yes, but a real aeroplane would actually fly high in the sky.
Well, suspended from somewhere even higher in the sky, of course. Because large metal objects obviously can't really stay in midair unsupported.
So, to you, the solution is ever taller towers?
Yes, it's gotta be. Door.
It's the only thing that makes sense.
This door doesn't want to open.
Yeah, it looks like it's got a pretty hefty lock on it.
There's a specialist locksmith on his way over from the yard. So hands off till he gets here.
With permission, Inspector, I could have that lock open in less than a minute.
Permission denied. Well, you don't have permission, and no one's giving it to you.
Good face by Gregson. Good face. Gregson looked as though he really enjoyed that.
Well, there's no sound of anybody on the other side.
No, Drebber must have fled at the first sign of danger.
Does any door want to be opened? Has anyone ever asked?
It's a European-style quiver of arrows with steel bolts inside.
Oh, do you suppose?
Crossbow bolts these, and just the right size for the bell you lot turned up at the exhibition grounds.
In other words,
Yep, there's more evidence to support your theory. It all goes to show that Drebber was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes of the whole scam.
mine now. Oh, thud!
Thud.
Oh,
Is something wrong, Mrs. Otto?
well, I thought I heard a noise from the far side of that door. Well, Gina, did you hear it too? Yeah, I heard it and all. What do you reckon, Toby? Bark.
Right, mind the grease.
Mind the grease.
Whoever's in there, open up. This is Scotland Yard.
Oh. Well, god damn it.
Maybe I shouldn't have opened with that.
Oh my, someone is in there.
Was in there.
Yeah, they're
Was
gone
it?
now.
Ah, this rotten bleeding lock.
Go outside,
Maybe if
go
you
around the
got rid
building.
of-
Go around the
Get rid
building.
of the efficient ships, then you can take care of the door.
My dear Gregson, as I said only moments ago, if only it were
Countenanced.
Countenance.
countenance, I could unlock that door in less than a minute.
Fine. I'll take the rap for it. This goes through that blasted door.
Click.
There, enter at will.
You've
Shoots the lock.
You confused minutes with seconds, I think.
Time is of the efforts I feel. What are we waiting for?
Nothing for it, I suppose. This is an emergency.
There's a strong possibility that beyond that door is
Oh my god.
the engineer you all see.
We have to go.
All right, Tobias, put on your angry face.
Be prepared for action, my dear fellow.
Yes. Eh? Oh.
Bomb!
Bomb?
Uh-oh.
Bomb?
Ah, shit.
What's happened in here? Why is everything upside down? Why is everything upside down? What?
Oh, yeah, it is.
Rats. There ain't no one in here after all. But there must be. It was only moments ago that we heard those noises.
Maybe that was the sound of Drebber running away?
But there's only one door into this room.
Hmm. Oh! The footprints on the roof.
Yeah.
What's
Oh,
that
yeah.
about?
What?
And no windows that could afford an escape either. Those skylights are far too high.
Explain. But.
Ghosts.
Aha!
Eh? What's that up there? Are they footprints on the ceiling?
Blow me! What
No.
have we
No.
been?
Same joke.
Are all of you ignoring the big thing?
Looks like
Yeah.
someone was trying to burn something in a hurry.
Oh, that looks like a set of blueprints.
To what?
Give it Professor Airbrain's balmy machine in it. Blimey! If we'd had these, there'd have been no need to muck about trying to investigate all that scrap metal.
There is something of great interest here too. Down here. Look at the flow. This rope was lying on the floor at the foot of the pillar.
A rope? What's significant about that?
Never mind. Don't worry much. You see, but you do not observe, Mr. Naruhodo.
Eh?
We must investigate the entire room thoroughly. And before the forensic investigation team arrive, too.
Mom?
Do we want to not
Yes.
examine that first?
No, we're gonna go
or-
with that. That's first. Mr. Sholmes, have you found something?
Mr. Naruhodo, yes. In point of fact, something rather fascinating. What do you make of this?
Let's see. I've never seen anything like it before. It looks like a bundle of thick cigars wrapped up in a
Ah!
Miss Susato, what's the matter?
That's a... Surely that's a time bomb, isn't it?
What did you say?
Time bomb?
Sorry, but what is a time bomb exactly?
Eh?
You are one of a kind, Mr. Naruhodo.
I won't take that as a compliment.
You don't know nothing, do you, Odo?
You haven't got a clue what it is either, to have you, Gina.
I invite you to consult a dictionary later, Mr. Naruhodo. But this particular specimen is no time bomb, though I confess it has a very similar appearance.
It's an
Oh.
alarm clock.
Oh, well, thank goodness. But then, what is it?
I see. So that's it.
Goodness. Mr. Sholmes, have you seen the heart of the matter?
There are times when I consider my lot most unfair. For I am fated to never know how it feels to flounder as you do when a puzzle presents itself. Humble brag, humble brag, humble brag. But I have learned to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective, Miss Susato.
Here we go. I feel a great deduction coming. No, wait. Maybe I should have looked at all the other stuff first. Damn it. Oh well.
It's a bomb.
Once again, I can draw two conclusions from the scene we see before us. The first is that the inverted nature of the furniture in this room is the work of Mr. Drebber himself.
Oh, but how could you...
And the second conclusion is that the small device on the floor there is without question completely genuine.
Please, Mr. Sholmes, you must explain everything.
It would be a pleasure. After all, it is a great detective's civic duty to teach Scotland Yard the finer points of the trade.
Shut up.
Well, Inspector Gregson seems delighted with the idea anyway.
Oh, you deflected the inspector's glare with such fortitude there, Mr. Sholmes. Well done.
You're too kind, my dear madam. I hereby dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly just stand there, Miss Susanna.
Oh, yes, I'd be delighted.
So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his logic and reasoning spectaculaire.
All right, let's do it. I should have looked at everything else. You're right. You were right. You're right. Damn it.
We'll get a chance to in a bit, probably.
Yeah. Flipped furniture.
It's plain to see this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table, and the chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room had until recently been happily positioned on the ceiling before falling straight down onto the floor.
Every item in the room was on the ceiling. Are you suggesting that?
I did.
Gravity.
Safe.
With my mouth.
Safe number.
Oh.
Yes.
Indeed, the key here
Hey, oh.
is It would appear that the technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the Earth. For the gravity in this room was reversed and then restored to normality.
Goodness!
The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business. I quite understand your skepticism, Miss Susanna. I, too, was incredulous at first. However, my conviction in my analysis was cemented when I observed this. An anti-gravity device almost identical to the one that was featured in a dream of mine only the other day, in fact.
But then why does it have a clock on it?
A most relevant question indeed. That is a timing device that controls when the gravity direction will switch. There was clearly a requirement for the engineer to be able to restore normal gravity automatically. And the commotion we heard earlier from the other side of the door was the moment that restoration occurred. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. So, you see, you need look no further to explain the state in which we now find this room. The direction in which gravity acts in here was reversed by Mr. Drebber, before being restored to normality in an automatic fashion with some time later by the timer device. I have witnessed precisely the scene in a dream I once had when I fell out of bed.
It's interesting that he used that wording because from the sound effects that we read earlier, I imagined somebody falling out of bed, hearing what was going on, and then running.
Now, let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer's friend's aim?
Oh.
Indubiously, the greatest clue we have to explain this action is above our heads.
Yes. How is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there in the ceiling?
A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight. Of course, Drebber's aim was singular, to escape. However, there is but one way into this room. Except the skylight, that is.
Ah.
Oh.
Whee!
By inverting the gravity here, Drebber was able to fall conveniently to the ceiling and make his escape via the otherwise inaccessible skylight, leaving those footprints behind on the way.
But the ceiling in here is very high, Mr. Sholmes. If the gravity reversal was sudden, wouldn't Mr. Drebber have fallen up to the ceiling rather violently?
Falling up is both scientifically and philosophically a rather interesting concept, I feel. But the man was cornered with nowhere to run, so escape through the skylight was his only option. You may recall that I found this in the other room earlier, which I believe offers a solution.
Oh, the rope.
To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? Then, besides an anti-gravity device, I mean, I'm on to something. By anchoring one end to the wall, the man was able to lower himself safely to the ceiling. Which explains how Drebber was able to escape this room before your arrival. He reversed the pull of gravity and fled via the skylight. And personally, I should very much like to reverse the pull of gravity again right now, just for fun.
No.
This is probably the most visually interesting bit that Ace Attorney's ever done.
Oh yeah.
I think so.
Looking at that was very cool.
Also, Herlock, no, do not activate that device.
Yeah. Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle.
Very cool, I liked it. Even though it all happened in my head.
The puppy.
She's completely spellbound. Mr. Sholmes, there is just one thing that troubles me.
I would expect nothing less. You're destined to be troubled by just one thing for the rest of your life.
The thing is such a thing actually possible? The anti-gravity device, I mean?
Technically, enough mass.
Oh, I would say that the man with man's current scientific knowledge at the turn of the 20th century. It's no more possible than an instantaneous kinesis.
What?
Where one then?
But your whole deduction hinges on it.
Ah, but my dear fellow, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth.
Is that the thing?
Is
Is that a thing?
However improbable it may seem. It's a marvelous lie, wouldn't you agree? One of my more endearing pearls of wisdom. I had Iris come up with the exact phrasing. My original was clumsy.
Yes, I have a feeling I've read it in something that Miss Susato lent me once.
Objection!
Oh,
Objection! Actually, there is one thing, Mr. Sholmes.
the spell's broken at last.
Yeah.
The rope you found was on the floor, wasn't it?
Indeed it was. In lonely coils near the wall.
But if Mr. Drebber had used it to escape the way that you described, wouldn't it still be tied to the wall?
Mysteries inevitably unravel at the end. And I think you'll find the ropes. And as evidence as such, you need only look at the mystery we face in this room, now skillfully unraveled.
That argument is as circular as the coils of ropes. Coils of rope.
I think perhaps we might need to give Mr. Sholmes the usual little helping hand. I'm sure with some minor corrections, the great detective's great deduction will lead us to the truth.
Yes, you're right. And we must do it quickly before Enoch Drebber gets too far away. I think you're a little late.
Yeah, I think he's long gone
He's
by
in
now.
a car, halfway down the road.
Bye. He's in France by now.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're ready, then let us resume. Herlock Sholmes' logic and reasoning spectacular.
Is this gonna take a while?
This
Yep.
usually takes a while, yes.
About an hour each time, usually.
What is taking Scotland Yard so long?
Oh, yes, skipping time. Here we go.
Sorry,
I always forget about the skipping. Always forget about the skipping.
I said the thing, and then I say it again, and it sounds just as weird as the first time I said it, but I did say it still.
Wait.
Inverted furniture.
To think gravity could have been reversed in this very room! I find the whole idea utterly enthralling. Only Mr. Sholmes could conceive of such an explanation.
But the man himself admitted it was a scientific impossibility, so...
Yes, you're quite right. We must completely discount the idea at once.
Oh, that's unusually merciless of you, Miss Susato.
When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. The great detective himself said so, didn't he?
While refusing to part with his dreams of anti-gravity devices.
Yes, I suppose so.
Well, let's see if examining this topsy-turvy scene a little more closely reveals some proof that it shows exactly what the gravity in this room was or wasn't doing. Okay, well... Oh, yeah, okay.
Oh, hey.
Well, I wasn't expecting to find a pretty bunch of flowers in here, that's for sure.
Ah, look at that!
I know. That slender little vase looks like it's about to topple at any moment, but the flowers are thriving. Somehow it makes you think of the fragility of life, wouldn't you say? It would be kind of fun if this was the vase from that last case in the first game. You remember the one that shattered?
Oh, yeah,
Emma's
yeah.
name. It would be pretty fun, but maybe that would be a bit much.
One vase?
To be honest, Mr. Naruhodo,
You don't remember the one that was smashed and had Emma's name written on it in blood? It was blood. Yeah. You don't remember that?
What?
Yeah.
Which game?
From the last case of the first game.
Vase?
There's a big vase.
Oh, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney or Great Ace
Oh,
Attorney?
I did mean Phoenix
Phoenix,
Wright.
Yeah.
Phoenix Wright Ace
Okay,
Attorney.
that makes more sense. I was
Oh,
thinking
okay.
Grace?
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Also, it was Mia's name or Ami's name?
Yeah.
No, you're thinking of a different vase. Although, yes, also that. Okay, anyway, to be honest, Mr. Murray.
Oh, goddamn. There are so many vases in the series.
Also, it's vases.
Shush.
Like,
Oh, shut up.
Absolutely shut up.
It's a vase.
Something else about it has made a rather deeper impression on me.
Uh-huh. Oh.
All the furniture in here is very conspicuously upside down, certainly.
Yes, it does immediately put you in the mind of some strange quirk of gravity, I admit.
Could that be a mini whirlwind? Or could it be that a mini whirlwind passed through here, do you think?
I'm not sure that's much more plausible than Mr. Sholmes' explanation.
Oh dear. Saying the first thing that comes to your head isn't the way forward here, it seems.
More things? More things.
Oh,
Isn't that the same?
it's the same.
It is the same?
Any furniture you
Yeah,
click
all
on
the
is going to say
furniture.
that.
But it doesn't have the thing on it. Okay, well, inverted furniture, inverted furniture, inverted furniture, inverted furniture. Okay, it's just gonna be this time. Take that!
Oh, not the same.
Oh, could I have looked at the safe? I didn't see it. Oops. The upright vase clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business.
I what you were wearing.
Upon my word, Mr. Naruto, you've surpassed yourself by completely turning my argument on its head. Trying to impress your assistant here, perhaps?
No one's trying to steal your spotlight here, Mr. Sholmes. Trust me.
Who dis? As you rightfully say, though it appears at first glance that all furniture in this room is upside down, this unassuming, slender vase was standing keenly to attention. Though, have you watched the TikTok? Many chillins are often flipping bottles when they upon land on
Shut up, Sholmes!
What's a TikTok?
No one knows what it is yet.
That's
talking-
the sound that the gravity device makes.
Yeah,
It goes
exactly.
TikTok.
My bad.
Yes.
TikTok, did you get that? I think it's the bomb.
And unlike the large safe, there is nothing affixing it to the floor.
And it's the exception that breaks the rule.
Thank you, Doodle.
Oh, in short, much as it pains me, the gravity in this room was never inverted at all.
My deepest sympathies for your loss.
Oh, poor Mr. Sholmes.
But the show must go on. So let us continue with our deductions.
Now that
Oh, now that we know that this contrivance is
Contrivance.
not in fact an anti-gravity device, there remains only one other possibility. It is a candle. Light it.
you
No!
don't say.
Someone deliberately turned over every piece of furniture in here.
Which might sound obvious, but leaves one mystery very much unsolved. Namely, why would anyone choose to do that?
Quite. And naturally, there is an explanation. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. I'm still on it.
He's absolutely determined that this device must have something to do with it, isn't he?
Back on my bullshit.
I'm afraid the lure of an exciting scientific explanation is too strong.
Well, there's no doubt that somebody did this. Somebody turned all the furniture over. So whoever it was must have had a reason.
I'm afraid nothing comes to mind at all, though.
Well, let's look around and see if the answer presents itself.
We've
Now,
seen it.
this, I think, is the numbers written on the thing.
Oh, we've already
Yeah, the chair.
we've already established that gravity wasn't actually reversed in here, haven't we? In other words, this isn't an anti-gravity device at all.
Which makes me very curious to know what sort of device it is. But I think for now it's clear that we're looking for an answer elsewhere.
It's a bomb.
Hi. Look, there's something written on the underside of this armchair.
Oh, yes. Safe 432582.
Safe. As in safe and secure? Very good.
As in
Good job.
secure lockable box, I think.
Wow. Admittedly more likely.
Well, there is a large safe bolted to the floor on the other side of the room, so yes.
So you mean this number would let us open it?
I wonder why it's written here, though.
I don't know. Let's talk about it, though. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the safe combination.
Precisely. I believe, Miss Naruto, that you had a very similar experience once, did you not?
Yes, last year. When I bought a lottery ticket and noted the ticket number down on the inside cover of a book, just in case.
That's it. For people are forgetful souls at heart, and always make a written note of important information.
Just keeping the ticket itself safe would be more sensible, I think.
You can do both.
And what, pray, happened next, Mr. Naruto?
When the day of the draw came around, I'd forgotten which book I'd written the number in and had to turn my room upside down to find it.
That's it. For people are forgetful souls at heart, and always forget when they have noted things down.
Not if you always note things in the same place.
I actually won the second prize, you know? But I couldn't remember which magazine I'd slipped the ticket into, so I had to turn my room upside down.
Thank you, Miss Naruto, but I believe you have proved my point for now. That's a yes.
Which is that a very similar scenario.
Has clearly unfolded in this room.
Finding himself requiring access to the safe, the occupant of this room needed the combination code. He remembered that he'd written it on the underside of a piece of furniture, but forgot which one, and admittedly, that's really weird of him.
Yeah.
Leading to the state in which we find the room now. Yes, Mr. Drebber overturned all the furniture in here. In a desperate hurry to locate the combination code that would unlock the safe.
Okay. Well, we probably already opened it, right? Yeah?
I'm working on it.
Now, let's consider the next conundrum which I had spoken of before.
Is that true? Is that so?
I believe so. Look at these
Is that
words I said. The feet in the ceiling, it's so stupid. Like, why would you put your feet up there? I don't get it.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Well, if a change in the direction of gravity can't explain it, then how did those footprints get there?
Yes, I feel as though that particular mystery has just become even harder to solve.
I can't think of any other way to explain it at all. Oh, life was so much simpler in those halcyon days when gravity could be reversed.
It was minutes ago, and those halcyon days never existed in the first place.
Well, I suppose we must simply put our faith in Mr. Sholmes and observe the area in more detail.
Putting our faith in Mr. Sholmes is what gets us into these situations in the first place. Okay. A shoe?
Ooh. Why?
It's hard to believe, but there's a shoe up there, look!
Oh, yes! And there are more footprints on this little balloon, too. Perhaps the shoe was thrown up here and became lodged, do you think?
If so, then judging from the number of footprints, it must have been thrown up several times. Why would anybody be throwing shoes up at the ceiling, though?
Oh dear. That's beyond me, I'm afraid.
What the hell? This is a gas balloon, isn't it? It's tiny, but it does seem to be a real balloon.
Yes, I think you're right. I think it's helium that's keeping it up.
A green gas balloon. Why does that seem to ring a bell with me?
If you can see, there are footprints on this balloon too, look.
Oh yeah, surely that's a clue, isn't it? Though what it tells us, I'm not sure.
Was he trying to get it down from the ceiling by throwing a shoe at it?
The
Maybe.
balloon?
Yeah.
Maybe. It looks like these are the only windows in the room. What are those little black marks of where the shoes are heading? You see that?
Yeah, I
Here's
see
the-
that.
I don't know.
Architecture.
In other words,
Add
if you
block.
if you wanted to escape without using the door, these skylights would be the only way.
Yes, that's true. But even so,
And right next to the only escape route, we notice some telltale footprints.
nevertheless, as we've said many times now, gravity can't explain how they got there.
But powerful springs in the soles of the man's shoes could.
Have you been having strange dreams as well, like Mr. Sholmes?
Very good. No? Okay. Well,
No? Okay.
it's worth checking.
Naruhodo invents moon shoes.
Moon shoes.
I guess it's the shoe, huh?
Probably the shoe, because that's where the shoe print came from.
Yeah.
Yeah. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby shoe.
And on closer inspection, there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. In other words, the aim was never the skylight at all, but the balloon.
But for what purpose?
A green balloon. That does seem somewhat familiar. But what could it mean?
It was a piece of the green, it was a piece of a green balloon's envelope that Mr. Naruhodo and Iris found on the scene.
Yeah, that's funny.
And inside the green balloon that Master Gotts claims he saw above the stage when the incident occurred was the second birdcage, the crux of the whole instantaneous kinesis deception.
You mean to say?
So if we assume the balloon here is a model of the one used on the day, there's a strong possibility that something may be concealed inside it. Something absconder was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway.
But the balloon's out of reach.
Hence why he resorted to a projectile, namely the shoe.
Ah!
Gina, use your gun.
Most probably, Drebber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by assailing it with a shoe. However, his efforts were thwarted when the shoe itself became a prisoner of those lofty heights.
Pick up something else, though.
Oh dear. We desperately need to examine that balloon. If only there was some way we could see inside.
You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution.
Oh, the rope.
To reach the intended destination, what better tool than the rope?
Mr. Sholmes has managed to bring the deduction back to the rope.
Alright, I have to admit, that was clever. So we just throw the rope up to the balloon and then pull it down to us to the ground?
Which is much easier said than done, I feel. And it could take us a very long time as well.
True. Perhaps we need a more surefire method. In fact, we already have one, of course, don't we? Huh? Eh? Oh. This?
The cross.
The crossbow.
You want to have the crossbow? Take that!
What better tool than this gun I found?
To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this crossbow?
That was found at the scene, in fact.
And in all likelihood belongs to Mr. Drebber.
If the man had only brought it away with him that day, he had avoided losing a shoe at such a critical time as this.
Bad time to lose a shoe.
So, Would you like to hear the sound of a shoe hitting up a balloon?
Well, I think we're trying something else, but okay.
Oh! Your curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. What is it that Mr. Enoch Drebber has hidden inside this balloon?
What?
It's himself. Oh God, no.
Oh my god. Oh my god!
Ah!
What the? A waxwork?
Oh God, it's Leonardo DiCaprio. Or was it Brad Pitt?
No, you were right the
Huh?
first.
Was I? Shit, yeah. Indeed it is! A waxwork head inside a metal mask! A mask that is shut tight and fastened with a strong and quite impenetrable lock.
So we can't see the face inside, that means.
Just a moment. This is the head of a waxwork model. What does that mean? Oh, goodness!
I see you've joined the dots, Mr. Zato. Excellent.
Ah, of course, a headless waxwork model. The case of the abducted Madame Two Spells model that you'd largely solved. It was only the head of the killer that was still missing.
Indeed it was. But I believe Madame Two Spell will now have to settle her sizable account to me. This, as you have surmised, is the head of the infamous process professor.
Yes.
Moriarty.
But why is it here?
Lessiardi. This conclusively confirms my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing the professor from Madame Two Spells and returning it, sans tete, earlier today, was those are the letters. Those are the letters. Those are the letters right there. Look at them, tete. Earlier today was none other than Enoch Drebber.
It's in character.
This is incredible. Professor Hairbrain's case and the waxwork abduction they're inextricably linked by Enoch Drebber's workshop. I couldn't have guessed.
No way.
I need more time to process information.
Is it sans tute? Sans tetet?
I
Sans
think it's
tee?
Sans Tet.
Sans titty.
Sans titty.
Alright, sans titty. Well, it appears that our logical pleasure cruise has come to an end, my dear fellows. All that remains is, yes, to speak with the architect of this adventoire.
The architect?
You mean Mr. Drebber?
As it seems quite impossible that he escaped via one of the skylights. Obviously, the man must still be here in this very room.
He's in the
Oh,
he's in the safe. He's gotta be.
In the safe?
What?
And this location should be abundantly clear. If you simply reflect on the journey we've made together during this deduction.
Enoch Drebber is right here, somewhere in this room.
Yo, Enoch, you do know that safes are airtight, right?
He's already passed out. We can't continue.
Not smart.
He's long gone.
It's gone now. The deduction took a little too long.
Whoops.
So, Miss Naruto, would you do the honors?
Yes, of course.
110.
Mr. Drebber's hiding place must be the. Yep. Safe.
The Voss.
Look at all that mess in front of the safe.
Yes, plans and accounting ledgers.
Almost as if someone was in a hurry to empty the contents of the safe, in fact.
Oh.
Minecraft noises. Before we gained access to this back room, we heard noises from in here.
which tells us the engineer was still in the building at that point in time.
He was in fact searching for the combination to his safe.
And, pressed for time, made no attempt to right the furniture he'd overturned in the process. From which we can deduce that his search for the combination happened very recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Drebber,
Is at this... Oh, that's him.
is at this very moment inside the safe. I got the line this time. I did it. Fuck you. Fuck you and your naysaying. You always took turn of my thing. I worked so hard. This concludes Herlock Show's great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle.
Okay, Sholmes, I'm gonna take you to a confectionery later. How's that sound?
All
He
is
still has
forgiven.
not eaten. He's very hungry.
He's hangry at the moment. That's why we're having these moments. He'll be okay. Don't worry about Sholmes. He's getting paid by 2
Why
spells.
don't you
He'll be
invent
okay.
something like 8-word singing?
What?
Jack Black.
Oh, I remember. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
No one else does, though.
I mean, they did the Poe thing with the... So, Miss Naruto. Or no, they did it with Bowser. Didn't they do it with Bowser, I think?
I don't know. Just read the line.
I think perhaps it's time we ended this game of hide and seek, don't you?
By opening the safe, you mean? Uh-huh.
What else?
Let's see. The combination was 1, 1... Oh,
432582.
I knew that. All right, then. Here goes. It's right across the room. Ha.
Your
Whoa.
hand.
This
Who?
is...
You found me.
What? What?
Oh.
You found me.
Oh
Are
my god,
you
he's
a
like the
robot?
guy.
What?
Oh.
Whoa.
Are you JoJo?
What in the world?
You're moving like a puppet?
Kind of.
Okay.
A little bit.
That was unnecessary.
Wow. What an
That was a
intro.
lot. Also, Sad, you might want to turn that voice up a little bit.
Yeah.
A touch.
Right then, sir. Mr. Enoch Drebber, I presume.
It's a Max.
Hmm.
Then it needs to get louder somehow. I don't know. You know what? Shit, is it a smart idea to turn
Oh, no,
it
no.
up?
I think I can show him. If you click the volume bar on the far lower right, so instead of like the individual voice volume.
I see. Is this
Okay.
better?
Yes, it is.
Yeah!
Yeah, we're getting there.
Okay.
Correct.
You better start talking. You tricked Professor Hairbrain with that bogus machine you built.
It's actually really good too. I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you shall have to explain the theft of the waxwork from Madame Two Spells as well.
Whilst I would be delighted to answer your many questions,
Many. More.
personally, I would advise that you deactivate my little parcel first.
Deactivate.
Your parcel?
Oh, he was going to protect himself from the explosion by being in
Oh.
the safe.
I refer, of course,
Indiana Jones.
to the time bomb. I left it in the most prominent position. Ha ha ha! I see. Stunned silence. You're all gearing up to die with me then.
No!
Sephiroth?
Put the bomb in the safe.
That
Mr. Sholmes, with only 7 seconds to spare.
was way too close for comfort. I've got one foot in the grave already.
Is that a Goldfinger reference?
Is it?
Nice. Oh, you trying to help us get a killer or get us killed?
Mr. Sholmes's deductions can be completely life-altering, can't they?
Well, my dear fellows, that was a close shave. The resemblance of the anti-gravity device is really quite startling, I must say.
Shut up.
Anti-gravity devices don't exist.
Whew, I wouldn't
Not
push it.
with that attitude.
I wouldn't push it, Mr. Sholmes. Okay, well, hi, you. What on earth happened in here?
I was referring to the 7 seconds. At the end of Goldfinger, they deactivate a bomb with 007 seconds left on the
Oh.
timer.
Wow.
What on earth happened in here?
You found me, haven't you? No need to screw me down any further. Everything in here is precisely what it seems.
Yeah, well, we'll be giving it a thorough going over, don't you worry, Drubber.
What fails to click with me is how you were able to locate my workshop. That I was not expecting.
Whoopee.
When I heard whistling from the other room, I knew I was it. It was time to bolt.
Whistling?
Damn it, Sholmes.
That would have been me.
Oh,
For some reason, I woke with a fine fatigue today.
Fiddle. Fine fiddle.
No words, just tightly squeezed chips.
Clearly I must have a screw loose, though, as I couldn't remember the combination for the safe. And another one loose, as I couldn't remember on which piece of furniture I'd written it down.
We also found a rope over by the wall.
Yes, I had hoped to exit through the skylight, but sadly, the rope was too short. So I then set about searching for the combination code to open the safe.
And burn the incriminating blueprints. Don't forget. Regrettably, though, you failed to retrieve the head from the balloon among the rafters.
And after that, you hid yourself inside the safe, having first set this parcel ticker.
Well, I have no intention of being nailed by the police.
Got an F wish, have ya? I ain't right beside a dick and dime bomb.
Please, why do you suppose I chose to hide inside the safe? It's no ordinary safe. It's specially designed. A dynamite explosion wouldn't leave a scratch on it.
So, in fact, the safe was the only safe place?
Precisely!
Hey, I just noticed look at the pins on his lapels next time he shows up.
Okay.
oh, I think I know what you're talking about. But once you'd climbed inside, you wouldn't have been able to get out again.
What's a lapel?
Oh,
The plus and minus.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see, yeah.
That's a lapel.
I invite you to look more closely.
Didn't the new lady, Lunar's new girl, that we met from the Strongheart's subordinate, didn't she also have pins like that? Maybe? I don't know.
I can't tell by looking at the casting chart.
Okay, fair enough.
The safe is fitted with a handle on the inside to allow the door to be unlocked from the within.
Ah, so it is. Courtney Sight did not. Oh.
I had always intended to blow this place to smithereens in any case. I just wasn't expecting uninvited guests to show up along to screw up my plans.
Do you mean to say you were planning to blow us all up? It's attempted murder. That's illegal. You can't do that.
No, that was unforeseen.
What do you mean?
Most people run, you see. When they see a ticking time bomb at their feet.
Ah,
I'll calculate the time required for retreat to a safe distance and set the device accordingly. But you're seemingly losing endless discourse in here through a spanner in the works.
Is something wrong, Mr. Gregson? Do I have something on my face besides my usual eyes, ears, nose, and mouth?
One of these days, I'm gonna lock you up for good. I'm gonna enjoy it.
I think we have a fairly good idea.
Don't you lie to me. You lock me up for bad.
I think we have a fairly good idea of what's been going on here now. But what about the 2 incidents you've evidently been involved in recently? Professor Hairbrain's instantaneous kinesis experiment at the Great Exhibition, and the waxwork model you stole, which this head belongs to.
That's no ordinary head, you know. That's the head of the professor. Clad in a mask with a lock so strong, I'm unable to open it safely to reveal the killer's identity. I've been considering carrying it around as protection.
Oh.
After all,
Oh!
That's enough. What's going on here, Gregson?
What are you doing here?
I'm sure you're aware that I have sole jurisdiction to investigate here.
Yes, well,
Dr. Scythe again. So the forensic investigation team are here.
And you know full well this engineer is a key witness. Why are you allowing this lawyer access to him? If Lord Strongheart knew of this, you'd be finished. You lot, leave at once.
My dear madam, there's no need for such a threatening tone, I assure you. After all, that's no way to treat an old acquaintance, is it, Dr. Scythe? Scythe?
Hello, Sholmes.
Oh, there's
I-
a story there.
I have a hunch it's Scythe. Mr. Holmes knows Dr. Scythe?
If it's protecting the machine next door that's causing such a sour expression on your face, you are quite misguided. It's
Well-
really nothing more than a shell
out.
on the door. Okay. But of course, we'll just show you out the door. Or show ourselves out the door. I see you haven't softened at all. Mr. Naruto,
Yes?
it would appear that our delightfully entertaining investigations have run their course for today.
But Mr. Sholmes.
You talk to her. Let us leave this place in the doctor's capable hands.
I said get out. Now! All of you! Your presence here is not required either, Gregson.
understood. But I'll just say one thing before I head off. If it wasn't for this lawyer and his companions, we'd never have found this place. An old workshop would have been blown to bits. There was a time bomb set in here that this lot disarmed.
Inspector.
Eh? Something giving you a chuckle, is it, Drebber? You having a turkish with me?
Ah, so sorry. Didn't mean to offend. You're quite right, of course. You did disarm the time bomb, didn't you? Yes. You did disarm. That one.
Eh? What are you... That one? You mean... Uh-oh.
What's the point? What's the point?
Shit.
What's the point?
Destroy the
We
evidence.
can't investigate it.
But we've already investigated it.
The Dick
No,
Act.
we haven't.
We haven't been able to actually investigate how it worked.
I feel like we know enough about the machine. I think it's fine.
We don't know the inside of it, though.
It was an hour later that we heard the news of the enormous explosion that ripped through the experimentation stage at the Great Exhibition. Professor Hairbrain's invention and all its secrets were blown away forever.
But we have the blueprints, right?
Yeah.
Burned.
Half burned.
Yeah. We can no longer prove there's no way to teleport people.
I mean, it's just logic, but okay. Okay.
Well,
It's a problem.
The entire
It's a-
case hinges
If you
on
didn't
it,
know
yeah.
how the machine worked, there's no way you can prove that outright, though.
Yeah.
It's October. Hairbrain.
Good morning to you, Mr. Naruhodo.
Good morning, Professor. Ready for today's proceedings?
Now, I hope so. I should
Oh.
be. Even I had. Good morning, my dear fellows.
Why is it always this happens?
I don't know.
Oh, Mr. Sholmes, you're very talkative today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why, naturally, a true gentleman stands shoulder to shoulder with his friends in battle at all times, no matter the voices nearby.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I'll see you later then. Now, Professor, we really need you to remain calm in the courtroom today. Please.
Yes. Do try your hardest not to enter the witness stand uninvited
Wait.
again.
Yes, I will. I will at a time. My dear
Uh,
fellows, I must interject, yes?
I have a question.
What is the question?
Does Hairbrain know that his device got exploded?
You will soon. Oh, you're still here, Mr. Sholmes. What's the matter?
Surely you've overlooked some praise, have you not? To be cast in my direction, hmm?
Sorry, I
No,
don't follow.
anyway, Hairbrain.
Anyway.
Must I spell it out? The great Herlock Sholmes, the greatest detective of worldwide acclamation, arose at some ungodly hour to be here now. First thing in the morning, a miracle, would you not agree?
Well, if I must agree, then
As you know, my sleep is quite impregnable. Many babies. Iris had to employ her third gamut of tactics. She pulled the covers off, shook me, poked both cheeks, punched me, and kicked me from the bed. Then she poured a boiling cup of her latest experimental blend on my face, and at last I was bestirred.
So thanks, Iris.
Oh my. Iris has been busy.
Iris doesn't have it in her to go that far. She's too nice.
Ah, I sense the spirit of a fellow scientist, one who relishes the infinite possibilities of blending tea. I am the one worthy of praise here, not Iris. This is my victory.
Oh my god, shut up.
Sorry to
Don't you dare!
That's probably also
Sorry.
Jay. Probably also Jay. Huh? Yes.
Oh,
Who else would it be?
Oh.
Why would it be
I
Jay?
thought Iris.
Oh. Because Jay's voicing every character in this scene? I don't know. It's a bit. Maybe it's Iris. Okay, go for it, Sabs.
Sorry to cut in.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Hey, sorry to cut in.
Oh, Inspector Gregson, good morning.
Gregson, my dear fellow, why the group expression at this delightfully early hour that I do not hate?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because I've been confronted with a grimmer expression, eh?
Dear me, are you going to take that insult lying down, Professor? What? What? I don't know!
Poor professor.
Anyway, here's the paperwork you asked for.
What paperwork?
Secret.
I took the liberty of requesting it yesterday. I have a feeling it may prove useful.
You wouldn't believe the hoops I had to jump through to get this brought out of the archives. It's the professor's autopsy report.
Oh.
Ooh.
That mass murderers?
Who killed 5 members of the aristocracy?
Aristocracy.
Either way.
Aristocracy.
They're both fine, sir. They're both fine, sir.
He was found guilty in a closed trial 10 years ago now. It was all done under wraps. And he was quickly executed soon after the trial. It's all in here.
The killer's autopsy report has been entered into the court record. I don't know what to say. Thank you, Inspector.
Yes, much obliged, Grayson.
Us lonely lot at the yard are just doing what we can. In the shadow of the great detective Sholmes, of course.
Oh, finally, someone gets it.
Well then, Professor Hairbrain, this is it. Today we're going to lay all this to rest at last.
I wish you the best of luck, Professor.
I suppose he'll be here in there today, will he?
Yes. We expect the prosecution to summon him as a witness.
I'm still amazed you're able to find him in just one day. I really owe you both so much.
Do it.
Another J.
Counsel and the defendants! The trial is about to resume. Kindly make your way to the courtroom and rooms.
Jay would voice a full character like that if he could.
Entirely. I don't care how many brain cells died from lightheadedness. It's great.
I call the other bailiff next to him with the mustache that doesn't say anything.
This is it then, the final chapter. Funny, my heart's racing a little. I've not felt this before, actually. This strange foreboding. As if something's going to happen in this trial that I'm not ready for. But I can't let that distract me from the only thing that really matters. Finding the truth! Damn it, I was trying to, Hold up. Oh, perfect. It'll be October. Oh, but there won't be music. There won't be music when we come back. Fine, it's October.
It's October.
Yeah, just start here.
And there he is.
There we go. All right. I think we're gonna stop right there.
Yeah.
That's
yeah.
a great stopping point.
That is a good stopping point. Great. Okay. This stream had a lot of really interesting stuff going on. That
Yeah.
the scene where Sholmes was explaining his wrong theory was so cool to look at.
Yeah, it was really
I-
cool.
I think I finally turned the corner on Gregson. I love him again. He's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I had a really good time with this one. What are we doing tomorrow?
Yeah.
Well, tomorrow's a break night.
It
Right.
says it's a break night.
Oh no.
Well, it's a break night according to the schedule, but that's probably not the case.
I might do an early Three Hopes.
Okay. have fun
Yes.
then.
So expect Fire Emblem Three Hopes tomorrow.
shot
Friday
on my
says it's Federation Force, but that is not happening because we finished Federation
Right.
Force.
Right?
Yay!
We are instead doing Neon White.
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
And I don't know what kind of soup this is though. That's a head scratcher.
Pine Bomb Soup.
Time bomb soup.
Bomb
Time Bomb Soup.
Robot voice soup.
Robot soup.
Robot soup. There's several
Robot
soups.
Soup.
Yeah, we're covered on soup.
Any soup.
All right, everybody.
Different types of soup.
We'll see you next time. Bye. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.